All right. Hey, we don't use this enough. We've got this beautiful bit of audio. We just don't use it enough at the top of the show.
You're listening to Brownie's podcast.
Oh, woof.
The dulcet tones of Lockie Hill.
Spasmodic. Bus fan.
Degenerates, we're all here. Campbell, Jonathan, myself, Dean, Brody's here. Beck is here, but she refuses to come in the same room with us because she's proper crook.
She reckons she's been infected by the water in Warrnambool.
Yeah, it makes sense, man.
What's she talking
It
about?
has.
Pristine
It's not
rainwater
clear.
down there.
It's not clear, John.
She accused it of being like the Parisians from water down there.
Oh, yeah. From,
so hang on. How dare you
we
talk
should
about...
Context that. Campbell reckons Parisians are in the river
in protest.
to protest.
Yeah,
are.
against Emmanuel
They
Macron,
are.
who might lose the election.
No,
by
he
the
won
way.
it. He won it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Based on clean
start.
sewerage.
And didn't the
On countback.
your mob in England lose as well?
Nah.
Yeah.
No, they'll fight. They'll fight the result.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Hey, we got Ben Cousins on the goddamn podcast.
Yeah, I got him.
Are you kidding me?
Well, early in the year, I was been messaging Ben directly, and he said a bit later in the season. when
Mate,
things
that was
work out.
5 months ago.
Who got him?
You said you had him next week.
Who got him on the show?
I did. You can thank me anytime. Campbell had absolutely nothing to do with it. When I spoke to Cousins, he had no idea that he was meant to be on this podcast at any time. So, useless bastard.
Hey, he was on Dancing with the Stars last night. I'm the only one that watched it, mate.
Yeah.
If you watch it back, his neck, he's like Leper.
Gladstone small.
Gladstone, if Leper and Gladstone had a baby, cause he's just operating stiff necked.
Really, it'd be hard to dance
What
with a
about that
stiff
for an
neck.
illustration?
You gotta all be
Leper and
loose.
Gladstone small having a baby.
Jeez, I'm not sure it'd be called a human.
But I will say this, cause he took it all real well.
Yeah.
Like, he's a beautiful man.
Well, you
And I
have
can't-
to, don't you?
I can't believe you got him on the show, dog.
Yeah, it's good. It was good by me. So looking forward to talk to him. Obviously, strong relationship there with my old man coaching his father, and then me and Ben playing against each other.
Absolutely.
What was his form like? Because he'd be used to feedback, so I think he'd take it pretty strongly.
Well, I want to show you some highlights, actually, because you worry for him.
Oh, no.
You worry.
Oh, no.
And then he finishes, he's sweating and he's concentrating, but I think he'll lift. Hopefully. He's got to improve.
Absolutely.
His score wasn't that
Did
great.
you ever
Who
actually
gives
play
a
on him,
shit?
Campbell?
Nah, I never played on him.
He would have given you an absolute bath.
Oh,
Like
he
a
could run all
bath.
day. I've got asthma. I'm not aerobically blessed, so he would have just run me into the ground.
Didn't you both used to vomit from intensity? Didn't you?
I never used to vomit. No,
Cuzzy
never.
used to just spray
Oh,
the
he was unbelievable.
grass.
In
Yeah.
games, he was the first really that started to use the rotations. Well, not to their advantage, but he was amazing. So he'd go out and just do a 3 1 kilometre sprints, and then he'd go to the bench and dry reach on the bench, have a rest for 2 minutes, and then go again. Our boys who used to tag him, Brad Scott used to tag him from time to time, Sean Hart, they said him and Croft were at the same level of hard running capability and capacity. It was amazing.
Do you know who used to come to me? Because I was the least dangerous forward. David Wirapunda.
Really?
Yeah.
Bunda.
Yeah.
I love Bunda.
Or Weir Panda, they call it. He used to get his name
Well,
all...
I know that everyone got it differently. There's a roll of the R's in there if you really want to get it right, but I'm not going to try because I'll mess it up.
Hey, Juddy tells a great story about Cuzzy.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day when Cuzzy was flying and could do no wrong, even within the walls of the West Coast Eagles, he's the captain. They're in a team meeting, like a review meeting, that's usually the serious part of the
Very
week, isn't it?
serious, yeah.
And I think Clarko punched himself
He
once
did.
in a review
Oh,
meeting.
right, put a pause. Write that down. Right, Clarko punched himself.
Punched himself. Mate,
Yes, in the face.
We'll get to it.
Lethal used to just close the door, and if you weren't in there for the start of the
Locked
review
out.
meeting, locked out for the whole meeting, and you had to face the wrath of Lethal. One time, Juddy, I was sitting in a review meeting after a loss, and Cuzzy got up, and as you do from time to time, you're excused to go to the toilet, or you're expecting the players going to the toilet. He comes back 15 minutes later with a coffee cup. He's got a coffee from the cafe down the road, about 3 k's down the road. So he's gone out, jumped in his car, gone
Down to Subi. Cafe Strip in Subi.
bought the coffee and come back and re-entered the meeting room. Wisher didn't even say anything. So
That's unbelievable.
there you go.
Okay, so Cuzzy's coming up, but Swans
that'll
have
be
lost twice in a row. That's wild. Yeah, they were close games. But let's talk about it.
But one player had the ability, both matches, Logan McDonald, to win it for him last week, and he didn't score. And he had a shot with about a minute to go directly in front from 50, and he missed again. So the poor bloke.
I liked his body language though.
Yeah.
Like he heaped it on himself. He took the responsibility. He would have known how long there was to go or close by, and he actually didn't shy away from it though.
It haunts you though. It would haunt you.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But I like the way he went about it.
Yeah.
So, and I thought it was a good kick. Initially off the boot, I thought, oh, he's kicked that. So it was a much better kick than the week before. He was probably slightly closer, but yeah, absolutely. You wouldn't want to keep stacking those up week after week.
Did you see that run that Chad went on late?
Oh, mate.
He's like the Terminator, not Arnie, the liquid one, the cop Terminator.
He could have kept running and bouncing, though. He handballed Dehaney through the middle of the ground, which was the right play, but I would have loved him to have taken 7 bounces from centre half back and had a shot.
Has Sydney got a problem? They've lost 2 in a row.
I'll tell you their big problem. Their first quarters are woeful. They don't rock up and play 4 quarters of footy. And I think in their 3 losses now, and we're getting a little bit statistical here, which we don't usually do, sides have been able to just keep the ball off them. 111 uncontested marks yesterday, 105 against Fremantle that they conceded, and 110 against Richmond. They're the 3 losses. So there is a bit of a blueprint now on how to beat the Sydney Swans.
As pundits, you guys are going to be okay with not knowing who's the best, because now Swans is this question mark.
Yeah.
GWS just beat Carlton.
Correct.
No one knows
And
I love it. Essendon, that's huge, by the way.
And coming back from 4 goals down at quarter time.
No
and Crispin kicked 3. And
It's exciting. It's exciting. But it's great to see. And Sydney have come back to the pack. You know what I was more astonished about the weekend, though?
Yeah.
Because last week, when Brown Dog left the studio, like he was being managed.
Yeah.
Now, there was concerns out there that Lewis Martin, the boss of Channel 7, had been made redundant.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Campbell Brown's job, I thought, was under pressure.
Yeah.
He'd be back to the VFL, if not... maybe country footy.
Worse,
maybe doing live streams at the Hampton League. Who knows? But
in a tin shed, just him.
exactly right.
Yeah.
But I was absolutely astonished when I switched the TV on yesterday.
Yes.
The big game, St Kilda Sydney. And Brown Dog
What?
is beside BT, not
What?
down on the boundary. Mate, he's up there in the commentary box getting some of his goals.
yeah.
If only we had some electric banter between the two of
It's
them.
catered for up there as well. I was having some pasta, some fruit salad.
What?
and
You
son of a
People were
bitch.
coming and getting me coffees, and I was giving the
Actually,
call of
they've
my
lift-
life.
They've lifted their game at Marvel. The pasta is
good,
very
isn't it?
good. I had
Yeah.
some of that last week.
Hey, there
So-
was some real electricity between BT and Dog.
Do you know who?
And we're going to play some for you right
Do you
now.
know who I replaced?
No.
And this is how highly regarded I am at 7.
Yeah?
I
Hunter.
was the first point of call when Paddy Dangerfield rang him up and said, I'm feeling under the weather, right? I don't think I'll be able to call Sunday. Dog got the call up.
How do you know you were the first? They told you that?
No, actually, that's a really good point. I just assumed that I was.
Well, you know why we probably know?
Yeah.
Because last week he just let us in on something, Dog.
yeah.
When, as we said, Lewis Martin's left. Dog was one of his boys, so we thought, maybe push down the order. However, he did reveal to us that Chris Jones,
Yeah?
one of his best mates,
Lifelong friend.
has taken over as the boss of Channel 7.
And that's big, brother.
Well,
that's big.
is
That means you're
is-
going up.
Is that called nepotism?
Yeah, it's called...
It's got to be your parents, though, doesn't it?
Mate,
Nepotism's gotta be a
you
fair-
said
Yeah,
the
but like the
boss-
sentiment's the
Yeah,
same.
the sentiments the same. You said the boss was going to treat you harsher. Well, mate, if anything we can go by the weekend,
Right.
I would suggest it's the opposite. You've
Now-
been parachuted into the top job.
Now,
And the game of the year, too.
You
So
know,
what an opportunity for the Brown Dog.
you know the King brothers are twins, obviously.
yes.
Well, twin birthdays came up in the commentary, and just watch these two maestros dance together, BT and Campbell. Now, you better not say a word while we listen to this audio. This is BT and Dog.
Happy birthday to Max King out there, 24 today. Coincidentally, Ella, I guess that means that Ben's birthday as well, given they're twins. I do know a set of twins not born on the same year, in fact.
Crossed over.
Yes. crossed
After
over.
midnight on New Year's Eve.
Well, yes, Campbell, that's correct.
There would have been people out there that were going, that's not possible.
No, children maybe, but no.
I thought I'd solved the Rubik's Cube just
And
now.
then you tried to claim Chinese New Year.
Chinese
No, that
New
was Joe.
Yeah, that was Joe.
And that was Joe. But then I said, what if it was a leap year?
Oh.
Which would have made absolutely no difference at all.
Oh, it's just beautiful. But how about BT's? That's correct.
Can we do that again?
Yeah,
Can
man.
We just go again?
Just the way he ends it.
Happy birthday to Max King out there, 24 today. Coincidentally, Ella, I guess that means that Ben's birthday as well, given they're twins. I do know a set of twins not born on the same year, in fact.
Crossed over.
Yes, crossed
After
over.
midnight on New Year's Eve.
Well, yes, Campbell. Correct.
Oh, well, yes, Campbell.
Do you reckon
Campbell,
everyone
that's
knew? Do you
correct.
reckon everyone knew?
Yeah,
that?
pretty much, brother. But just your delivery of it. It was like
He was so excited.
Yeah,
Wasn't
it was like for the first time in class you knew the answer, so you had to jump. It's beautiful, man. But let's have a listen to your take on Chad Warner, the Terminator that we just described, and his eyes.
And Warner, the bluest eyes almost of anyone I've ever seen. Chatty blue eyes. Look at those.
Yeah, I thought it might have been the footy boots or the socks or the jumper, but no, you picked the eyes.
Lost in those for days.
The electricity! BT and Dog are the new Bruce and Dennis.
Oh, mate, there's no doubt about it. If I was Luke Hodge, be very, very concerned. Who's Friday night footy? Hodgie and Matty Richardson. I think.
Yep, and Abby. So I'm
Abby.
coming.
Now, Dog, we've
Chatty blue eyes.
only played your wins. We're going to play one dud, surely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You reference a meme song from 10 years ago. The world didn't need it. The listeners didn't need this.
We'll just have a look at compactly here. Here's the spare off the back, and he gets involved, and then the kick to the fat side. And watch the burst here from Fox. Just gets on the end of it, attacks the ball harder, and we talked about Browny just being able to stop this Swans momentum before the quarter finishes, and now with 3 goals in quick succession for the Swans.
He said something to his direct opponent too. I wonder, what did the Fox say?
What sound does the Fox make was a the next.
Can we play the audio? What did the Fox say?
Our overlords get cranky when we play real
I
music.
thought that was brilliant.
Oh, man. Yeah, brilliant. No, you're spot on. Yeah,
Mate,
absolutely
you've
spot on.
got gears. You've got gears. Blue eyes, you've sold the Rubik's Cube,
Jesus Christ.
and just bringing up songs.
Hey,
you know, pop
we're in the
culture.
entertainment industry, you know?
You are.
We haven't heard Look the
BT would have
Dragon
loved it.
Look the Dragon in the Eye for a while, and this is from this round, I'm told.
Well, I was commentating yesterday's game, last night's game actually, after Dog had done some of his finest work. Brisbane versus Adelaide, they won by 11 points. It actually wasn't a bad game of footy. But Isaac Rankin, who had a big hit on Brandon Starcevich early in the game, caused a concussion. Starcevich was ruled out, which obviously Rankin will get it 3 or 4 weeks for. However, I think it was a good thing to go back out because you're still out on the ground, so you've got to perform for your team. Even though you're going to miss weeks, very important. So he goes out and kicks a magnificent goal in the third quarter from deep to keep Adelaide Crows close and give them a chance. And I thought, I haven't been able to roll out spasmodic.
Yeah.
But I've just got to reference something I said earlier in the year when it comes to goal kicking.
He's kept his eye on the pill. He's executed it magnificently and gone home and nailed it.
Oh, what a wonderful kick. Pressure moment too. I loved his body language. He wanted that kick. He stared the Dragon in the eye. Fantastic technique for a long kick.
That was the feedback to Harry Mackay, and it single-handedly changed his career.
Single-handedly.
It had. Well, now he's an accurate kick.
He's not wrong.
He kicked 5 on the weekend.
Hey, if someone says spasmodic again, I've got a song for us to celebrate it with. So I'm just trying this out. You guys tell me what you think. So, say if we came back and BT's dropped spasmodic, we can listen to it and then celebrate with this. What do you think?
Heavy metal.
You like that?
Real goth sort of setup.
Right on, bro.
Who is it?
I like it.
Again, it's just AI. It's just the computer singing.
Oh, going to change the world, AI.
Yeah, probably.
Not for the better, I don't think.
Should have bought AI shares 3 years ago.
Could you?
There we go. There's, hey, bros,
What's
right
the biggest
down
company?
That hot
And do you know what?
Should have brought AI shit.
Instead, you know what we bought? Access Bitcoin.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
that's
did.
right.
Yes, we did.
Mate,
Hey,
we would be the biggest podcast in the world if we had bought AI shares 3 years ago. Or we'd be the richest podcast.
something happened that was as smooth as Mal in the garage when he went to that reporter. So again, we can't gloss over the fact that Bombers beat Collingwood Friday night at the G.
yeah.
That was humongous.
Yeah.
And as you said, Doc, they were down 4 goals. I thought, they are pretenders. No, they came back and won. Anyway, have you guys, you've seen this.
No.
A Bombers fan after the game leaving the G. Oh, my God.
Nate
It's
Caddy's a
just-
player too, JB.
Oh, yeah, I
Can
loved
it?
him.
Here we go. Listen to this.
Doesn't get any better than that, champion. I'll tell you what. To put up with the that we've put up with for the last few years, it's been a nightmare. We hate it, right? Then to come out and pump these assholes who have done nothing but put on us for so long. Get a big dog up, you Collingwood. You deserve it.
How good are supporters?
Oh, brother.
How good are supporters?
Oh, brother. But just his first delivery of the word champion, because the guys, this random nerd dude's interviewing him. Have a listen.
Boys, just beat the Pies. How good's up? It doesn't get any better than that, champion.
I reckon he'd had a few.
That's a great use of the word champion in great context. And probably heard us on the podcast. They tell you about the Bombers being stuffed since we knocked them over in 0-1. But, hey, they were good, especially after quarter time. Chris kicked 3 in the first quarter, and it looked like the Pies were up and about, dog. But Essendon on the back of Zach Merritt's inspiration. It's sensational. And got some young forwards coming along in Caddy and Jones, who's playing on the wing. It was great to see.
Yeah, great, real contribution from all the players too. Like Merritt was huge.
Guelphy.
He's getting involved in, but Draper sets the tone in the middle, and I think it was a really important win for them because we question their credentials.
Yes, we do.
Having only beaten a couple of the lesser light sides, West Coast Eagles, and a few of them in the last few weeks. But that's a scalp under the bright lights of Friday night footy with a big crowd, and that's what they'll have to replicate if they want to play finals.
If you're a 15-year-old kid, you've never seen them win like that ever in your whole damn life. It's huge.
What about the scarf waving, which originated from Kevin Sheedy years ago against the West Coast
That's
Eagles?
a sacred Eagles-Bombers thing.
Absolutely, but it was out there the other night. So late in the game, the Essendon crowd, when they knew they were home, because Collingwood came with a bit of a burst, they never really looked like it, but the scarves were waving at the MCG, and it was great to see. I agree. Even though, as we said, we knocked them over in 0-1, it's great to see a big club firing again.
Who's ringing?
Chris Jones, the boss of Channel 7.
No, just be ringing me to tell me how good I am. Hey, I'll tell you
how good I am.
I'll tell you
Bring
what.
him back on speakerphone and
put him on
ask.
speaker.
And
We want
ask,
feedback
just
session
ask
now.
how you did.
I can't do that on the potty.
This is very innocent.
All we want to do is just give him
That's amazing.
out of 40, like
What
Ben
time?
Cousins.
They're probably asking me to do another couple of games this weekend. Hey, guys, just relax.
That's a missed opportunity.
Things are going fantastic in the Dogs world.
The boss of Channel 7 called you during our
Yeah,
podcast.
he just wants a bit of feedback, probably. Maybe he wants a little bit of, I'm mentoring him. I'm giving him a bit of a mentoring. Hey, I tell you, as good as Essendon were, the Gold Coast Suns were a disgrace.
Yep, they were.
And it was good to
North's
see.
been in pretty good form, though.
Yeah, I know, but they've now lost about 15 games in a row away from home. And, they came down and played St Kilda about a month ago.
Yep.
And they lost. Yeah. And they lost again this weekend. And I think that the best thing that Damien Hardwick could possibly have done is what he did in the press conference. Because
our connection, our contest work inside 50 was poor. Our clearance work was poor. I'm angry, to be fair. And as a footy club, we've got to grow the up.
It's strong words. I hope he doesn't get fined by the AFL because in the end of the day...
They've cleared it.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good because that's the sort of emotion and passion that we need. Now, if you're doing it every single week, then it's not acceptable. But as a one-off, that sends a pretty clear message to the footy world and his club that what they're dishing up at the moment is not acceptable. It's not the first time they've done it. They've put themselves in a position 3 or 4 times now through the course of their fledgling careers to play finals footy, and they come back from the bye every single time, and they wilter.
Well, big words. As a former foundation member,
Mate.
that'll get their attention up north. I'm sure Dimmer will be playing that at the team meeting during the week.
There's a room named after this man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there is the tribunal room, which none of them really go to because they all play quite fairly, which I don't like.
Oh,
That's
okay.
gross.
Yeah, that hurts. So you put a line through them now for the finals because they needed to win 1 or 2 on the road, and they had an opportunity because they got West Coast as well. I think maybe Richmond on the road. So
Another wasted season for the Gold Coast Suns.
I don't think it's been a wasted season. I think Damien Hardwick's been able to put his stamp on the team in regards to the way they play, and their talent is growing. So I think they've actually, even though they won't make finals, they've made progression.
True.
And they've made steps forward since Dimmer's come on.
But they had a brilliant opportunity to taste finals for the first time, and they've let it slip. So in a way, yes, they've made progression, but it is a waste, isn't it? Because your careers, mate, are over like that. And you can't afford to miss opportunities. Simple as that.
What about, there's been a couple of big F-bombs dropped lately. So Dimmer on the weekend, JJ Redick who had a former NBA player, had a fantastic podcast, by the way. He's decided, no, out with the podcast, in with the coaching. He's coaching the LA Lakers.
Do you know what his credentials are? Some junior basketball. Obviously, he's a great of the game. He played NBA, but he's never coached.
He was a three-point specialist, wasn't he, for Philadelphia?
But you're right, he's coached under 12s. Dino reckons he's a great of the game.
He is.
I'd like to double-check that. But he came on, and this was his introductory press conference where he dropped the cold.
It's been a really interesting 6 weeks or so, being part of the engagement farming industry. I don't really have a great answer for your question because I really don't give a like, honestly. I want to coach the Lakers.
This precedent of Coach F-bombs is sweet. I hope it goes the whole year.
Sweet as.
I am willing to bet that in his entire time, Lee Matthews never, when addressing the playing group or obviously in a press conference, said the F-bomb. He wouldn't have.
The playing group? Of course he would have sworn to the playing
Tell
group.
you what, not much, though.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't a big swearer.
I told you. He's too level-headed and he's too calm.
If Lethal stubs his toe, what is he drops it then?
Yeah. He might have dropped it. Oh, actually, once one of the boys knocked him over at training, and he the F-bomb there.
Jesus.
And you're out. But no, he's very controlled in the team meetings as well.
Do you think if you spoke to him and got him to swear, and record it for our podcast, he would do it?
No way.
No way.
No way in hell.
No, he wouldn't.
He's nature's gentleman.
He is.
So if we could get him to say, I hate Brownie's podcast,
No
that'd
way.
be iconic.
No, he would never say it.
I reckon we can get him.
I would have heard him swear maybe. Jeez, mate, it'd be less than a handful.
We need to get him to swear then.
Yeah, well, it'd be tough to do.
No way.
Lee Matthews doesn't bow to
every
anyone.
game.
Yeah, Clarko swears nearly every sentence. Every sentence.
Who else? Kenny Hinkley? I don't think so. I think he's too kind. He's too much of a good man.
Beyond the scenes, Kenny would drop a few F-bombs. Who did it better, though, JJ Redick or Dimmer?
I reckon Redick. He doesn't give a
He's talking about the critics. I actually like Dimmer's one because Dimmer's was a message to his team and to his football club. Redick's was to the outsiders, to the media,
That's
to
true.
the critics and all that. So who cares? At the end of the day, I feel like it was a line in the sand moment for Dimmer to say to his club, hey, we're in the big boys league here. We're not here to just be around the top 8. We want to be genuine contenders to win a premiership in the AFL.
Speaking of the Big Boys League, the Hampton League had their... Well, it was redemption for you, JB. And
you coach?
You failed again. I've had calls throughout the course of the weekend to spill the board. Coaching job is untenable after losing back-to-back years.
Was it against Cooter again?
Where do you sit with it? And you can't wheel out that they were more
Mind you,
talented.
Cooter's headphones are hooked into nothing. It's like Brown Dog when he's practicing his calling at Marvel Stadium. And you walk past the box and you question his credentials and you question whether he's actually going mad.
Because he said that he outcoached you. That was the difference.
Yeah. There is. I'm under pressure. I did notice that the board members were away from me at the post game. Last year, enjoyed a beer, pats on the back. I did notice they were the other side of the room. So
distancing themselves.
Distancing themselves. So I'll just have to see. They said there'll be a board meeting to consider my future.
Bullets coming.
So maybe board's coming. But the fact that I turned up and didn't have anyone over 6 foot Tuesday night at training makes it a little bit more difficult, don't you think, Brad?
It makes it hard, if you're going in with a small side. But that's up to the coach just to get some more dirty ball inside the forward 50, bring it to ground. And it's much easier to sack someone when they're doing the job voluntarily. So there's no payout. there's no clauses in contracts. So, look, I hope for your sake you get a third crack at it, but I'm not sure.
Well, it does make me consider my voluntary part of the coaching. Maybe I come forward with maybe I need to request the payment next year. Because then it might mean a little bit more, Brown Dog, do you think?
I reckon get in front of the story, right, before they can sack you. I reckon you say to them, look, I'm willing to hand in my resignation. Yeah. I really want to coach this group next year, but I can understand if you don't want me. And then force the issue, and they will say, you'll catch them off guard. Yeah. They'll say, no, JB, no, you've got it. We want you. And then you'll know.
Yeah, and then I say, when they say, yes, absolutely, I go, beautiful, and I'll charge 10 grand.
Smart, John.
No, Ballarat Footy League were good, but it was great to get home and see the youngsters out there from both teams. Geez, there's some young talent out in the country leagues.
What was the margin?
I reckon it's a real... Yeah, I was, I stopped.
You forgot, did you, John?
I didn't pay much attention. I got past 5 goals.
The inflection when I asked that question, I don't remember.
What about my pre-game speech? The pre-game speech was inspirational, dog. I referred to Friday night's game, which was the night before. I said, Zach Merritt, one of our own.
The big sauce.
A boy from Cobden. And there were some Cobden players in there, so I expected to get their attention. I think we just got to follow in his footsteps. He's inspirational as captain. He thought pressure first, and then the offense will look after itself. And then, I thought they were ready to go. They were primed. 5 goals down the quarter time.
Next, we got Cuzzy on, and I'm so excited. He was on Dancing with the Stars. We got him for how long? Like 10 minutes?
A good 10.
Yeah, it's good. One of my better gets for this podcast.
And later, you're going to tell us how Clarko punched himself in the face, will you?
Of course.
Yes. Hello.
Good morning.
Cuzzy, it's
Cuzzy.
It's Dino here, Jonathan Brown, and Campbell Brown.
First of all,
good morning, gentlemen.
Hello.
Good morning, Cuzzy. Great to see you. Get it all out of the way, Dino, because Cuzzy,
yeah.
you've got this man, Dean Thomas. He's been one of the great West Coast Eagles supporters in a generation, and his lifelong dream to speak to you in person.
Cuzzy,
we like to hear that, mate. Good on you, mate.
Beautiful son of a bitch. I can't believe we're dancing in the same sentence right now. Last night I watched the whole thing, man. I just want to ask first up, you had to listen to 5 people bang on last night with jokes after your dancing and just stand there and sort of smile and nod. Are you still happy doing this, I guess is my question.
Well, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Listen, it's been a fair build-up this, and I knew that even the cleverest editing wasn't going to be able to see this in a positive way. My first episode, it's been hanging over like a dark cloud. But you've got to be able to laugh at yourself. You do. And I can honestly say I had to remind myself not to get too sensitive with some of the comments. But I did find the comment that I was presenting my bum to the nation. I do find that funny, that comment, but I can honestly tell you, there's not a shop window that I don't walk past these days and give a double take to see how my ass is looking, mate. I tell you, I've become very, very self-conscious.
Well, that was unbelievable. For those that didn't get to see it, last night, one of the judges, Craig Reville Horwood, well, who's got 3 names for starters?
Come on, mate.
He described your performance as having no neck, pigeon chest, and a bum sticking out so far it looked like you were presenting it to the nation, darling.
Presenting. That is a funny comment. Presenting.
Cuzzy, it looked like... You've seen it back, right? I thought you did great, blah, blah, blah. Who cares what I think? But
14 out of 40, that's not exactly great, Dino.
But what was going on with the neck? It looked like you'd tried to swallow a whole tuna and it got stuck halfway in your chest.
Yeah, well, listen, my problems didn't start and finish with wardrobe, but I did think they stitched me up this week. I wasn't happy with the suit.
Right on.
Cuzzy, does this get your competitive juices flowing? We know that you're a competitive beast on the footy field. Has this sparked something in you?
Well, there's no doubt it was very hard. It was. I couldn't have done another hour of dancing, so it wasn't through lack of putting time on the floor. I wish I could say I didn't do much at all, and it was just... but it was quite the opposite. But, it is something totally foreign. I got so much respect for, the pro dancers, and I loved it.
Brown Dog, you're in the Channel 7 stable, becoming a big star at Channel 7, mind you. The commentary you're doing, we'll talk about later on. But, Dog, you ever been offered Dancing with the Stars?
Oh, I haven't. The closest I got to a reality TV show was they were going to put me forward for SAS this year. I thought that's fantastic, and the show is no longer going to be filmed. So that's how well I'm going, mate. They're putting me forward.
The franchise.
Yeah, they've entered the franchise.
Cuzzy, I watched you when the feedback was coming in, and you're obsessive. I reckon you're going to come back and get at least 20 on the next dance because you're taking it seriously. Yeah. You're taking the notes in. Yes. And just to stick it up those Robert Downey Jr. or whatever that 3-name son of a bitch was, just to stick it up him, Cuzzy. You're going to come back.
I can't give too much away, but yeah, you'll have to tune in. But
he's waiting for the cha-cha.
One way or another.
He's a cha-cha man. Cuzzy, I was at the Eagles Melbourne game at the G, and Jesus Christ. All I could think
Cuzzy
in my...
could get a game. He's in the best 18 still.
Mate, I love Simo, and I'm grateful for everything, but it might be time. What do you reckon? What?
You're turning.
Listen, it's a tough, few weeks. But I think that the thing that has been, particularly stinging with the last couple of weeks' performances is that the side on paper has got back to probably being their strongest on paper for a couple of years. So I, along with so many others, have probably expected or hoped, a fair bit from the last couple of weeks.
If it goes tits up with Simo, can you text Dean Cox and say, you got to coach the Eagles?
Yeah, I think we've got to have a little bit more faith in that. We'll stay strong.
That's right. He's not a sellout like you, Dean.
Cuzzy, do you see similarities in what young Harley Reid's been able to do with when you burst onto the scene? And I know you were the biggest name in Western Australia for over a decade. Did you ever get given fresh produce from Hurdy Fresh? So they're giving him free fruit and veggies.
Good question.
He has had a big impact on and off the field over here.
Especially on fruit prices.
Quite remarkable to watch. But, with social media these days and the fact that so many of the junior football games streamed live on TV these days, that many of the top 10 draft picks, let alone Harley, who went one, arrive at footy clubs before they've trained or played with these huge profiles. So it's not an easy situation that he finds himself in. Thankfully, I think from an outside looking in, he does appear to be a pretty happy, mature, confident young kid. But that's going to take a fair bit to manage over the course of his career. But, thus far he showed that he's been more than up to it. But it is a tough situation.
Hey, Cuzzy, like you said, like Brown Dog said, you're the biggest name in Perth for 10 years. Recently, Harley Reid, or a lunch with Harley Reid and Nick Natanui was sold at a West Coast function for $110,000. Back in the day, at the height, I'm sure they would auction off a lunch with Ben Cousins. Maybe with Ben Cousins and Chris Judd. What's the highest price a lunch with Ben Cousins would have went for in the day?
Oh, mate, I'm not sure, mate. It sort of, now to be half a cold spring roll. But, it has been amazing to see the hype around this young fella, and it's exciting.
Cuzzy, my old man Mel, he coached your old man Brian back in the Perth days in the Waffle.
From the cherry picker?
From the cherry picker. Was there any resonating story that he's passed on to you? Because I know that Mel still terrorises Brian every now and then.
Oh, I do love having a yarn to your old man. He's one of the great characters in football. And he always tells me every time I see him that me as a little kid down at Perth Footy Club, and that I was a little how he used to drive. I used to drive him mad. I was probably side by side with you, Campbell, for a lot of those
yes, absolutely.
moments he's talking about. They were good times. My earliest memories, and certainly my earliest football memories, were stomping around down at Left Lane, and it's where I learned to love the game. They were good times.
Cuzzy, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for getting in, Campbell. That's really big from you, brother. Channel 7, watch Dancing with the Stars. You told me you let it slip that Clarko punched himself in the head.
Yeah, Monday afternoons were always a nervous time for the playing group because that was about 4 o'clock. He'd sit in the theatre at Waverley, and that was when Clarko would do the team game review. Right? There'd be a big whiteboard, there'd be a big screen, and we'd all sit there in the theatre, and he would just pick apart the whole game. Broadcast vision behind the goals, there was no hiding. So if you didn't chase, if you didn't tackle, if you put in a bad effort,
just to be clear,
straight between the eyes.
If you didn't chase, he grills you in front of everyone with the evidence.
Yeah, with the broadcast evidence, because you can't see what's happening, but the eye in the sky.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the camera from behind the goals, high up in the and it was quite unpredictable, Jekyll and Hyde about Clarko, because sometimes we'd win by 10 goals and you'd walk in there pretty confident and he'd just show all the bad highlights, right? And then there were other times that we would, give up a 10-point lead and lose by 2 points. You'd go in there terrified, and he'd be super positive. So on this particular occasion, Hawthorn had gone over to Adelaide to play Port Adelaide, who were last on the ladder. It was 2010.
Yep.
And we thought we'd roll over there and just knock them over. And Jay Schultz kicked 7 goals and we lost by 12 points.
I remember that game.
Bad loss. Monday rolls around. He's standing up in front of the playing group, and it was pretty evident as to which Clarko we were going to get that day because he was livid, right?
Jesus.
And he's standing, and his eyes were darting around the room. He had a bit of spit on the bottom of his lip, and he started, right? He was winding himself up, but he wasn't angry at the playing group because he thought he had coached poorly, right?
Really?
So he's saying, I should have done this. I should have tagged Travis Boak. I should have dropped Hodgie back in the hole when they got a run on in the third quarter. I should have moved Stephen Gillum off Jay Schultz. And he worked himself up into such a frenzy, and he looked to his right where there's always been a whiteboard, and on this particular occasion, it wasn't there. And he snapped his head to the left, and there was nothing there. So he just eyeballed the playing group and just punched himself straight in the face.
Jesus!
And he still tried to continue on with the team meeting, but his knees buckled and he started slurring his words. And that's the day that he knocked himself out in the team meeting.
John, did you know about this?
I did know about this. I've seen Dog tell that story a few times. He tells it wonderfully. First coach ever to maybe go into the HIA, miss a game of concussion.
Dog, what do you? How does everyone react? Do they just stun silence?
Astonishment.
I didn't know whether to laugh. I was nudging Grant Birchall's leg because it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. But it was also I've never seen I've seen players and Mick Crocker, Mad Mick Crocker, the rugby club. I've seen them
Crocker's
punch
just
themselves
around
in
the
the
corner.
face, drunk, having fun. But every single one of them to a man, right at the last second, there's a mechanism in your brain, self-preservation. You pull the punch.
Yeah.
You don't actually deliver the full
that's
striking blow because
That's right.
you don't do that to yourself. Clarko doesn't have that mechanism.
No, he wasn't born. Unbelievable. Hey, just on Clarko. He's a
Coaching well.
He's a pioneer, coaching well. Left field thinker at times. Harry Sheasel only played 38 games. We know he's a star.
Superstar.
Rising star, what level he gets to, who knows. The ceiling, there is no ceiling for him. Wayne Carey was the youngest captain made. He was 21 years old.
Right.
That was when North were at the start, or they were at the bottom and they built up together. Would you make Harry Sheasel captain from next year onwards?
Oh, he's got leadership written all over him. It's a
and
big
it's not
ask.
a knock on Jai Simpkin or Luke
No.
McDonald, by the way. It's just we know the direction this club's heading.
I just remember a young Melbourne group getting made, a couple of captains.
Trengrove and Scully.
Right.
They were both 21, I believe, at the
Yeah,
time.
and I think the burden of that in a footy club that is not successful is too much to bear for a young guy. I know what you're saying. I reckon 23, 24, a couple more years, because they are more than just the player. You've got to be the face of the club. You've got corporate gigs. You've got to be talking at board meetings and all that sort of stuff that comes with it.
Got to be telling stories like he just told about Clark.
He's a mature guy,
in the head.
but I think if you give it to your senior guys a little bit, make him vice captain. But yeah,
Just get him through a couple of
he
years.
he will be the captain
There's
of North Melbourne.
a guy called LDU who's arguably in the top 5 players of the comp right now that might have something to say about that. He will be the captain
If
of
he
North Melbourne.
stays, only if he stays.
staying.
It's hard to be captain of North
He's
Melbourne if
staying.
you're not there next year.
I don't think so.
He's come out and essentially vehemently said, yep, I love North Melbourne. I know that's happened before,
Yeah, no,
but
that doesn't
the
mean
passion,
the
passion.
Yeah, no, but that's not to say Harry Sheasel is not passionate about the footy club, and he might not covet the captaincy job, LDU.
Yeah, but
I think
Sheasel's not a
is
get
more
behind him
leadership.
and follow me into war. LDU is that player for them.
I'm not sure.
That's
I'm not
enough,
sure about
Brody
that.
Pomeroy.
Brody
Whoa.
Pomeroy, just too much to.
What, brother?
Too much to say.
Are you trying to be Sam McClure or something?
I'm a passionate North guy, as you know.
Jesus.
I promise you, LDU will lead this team into the future, and
That's
they will
enough,
follow him
Brody
into war.
Pomeroy.
There's something wrong with his microphone at the moment.
seems
You
to
know
be
the
on.
problem is
It's
it's
on.
that red light is on. Turn it off. Now, so yeah, that's one to watch for me.
Yep.
I would do it. Maybe as a co-captain.
Yeah,
Put him
mate.
captain next year ahead of LDU.
Time for.
What a world! Now, the parents of a 9-year-old boy from Shapur in Maharashtra, the Thane district, have lodged a complaint with police alleging that doctors at a government-run hospital mistakenly performed surgery on their 9-year-old boy's genitals, circumcising him instead of treating a leg injury. The boy's parents took their son to this hospital after he suffered a leg injury playing with friends last month. He was admitted into the hospital on the 15th of June, and they claim the doctors recently circumcised him And then upon realising that they'd made a mistake, they conducted the necessary surgery on the injured leg. There's going to be all sorts of ramifications
So
from
they
that.
took his Pirates hat.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder how. Like, it's sometimes if you go into hospital and you need a right shoulder reconstruction, they accidentally do your left. I get that mistake. But a leg injury, instead they cut the skin off your penis.
Your peen on what?
It's very. So they were headless. No pun intended. They're the parents. What a world! What a world!
Wow, man.
That's
All right.
insane. Well, at least they performed the correct procedure.
Yeah, that was good of them, wasn't it?
Have a great week. We'll see you on Friday, degenerates.
Hang on.
What do you got
Just,
for us?
mate, we might tidy this up on Wednesday this week.
What's
I think
happening?
we're doing.
Oh, yeah, Wednesday.
We had a little over-under bet the other day about the North Melbourne Gold Coast crowd.
I will have grabs of all our stats and find out on Wednesday who won.
There's a winner, obviously.
There is. And someone was very, very close.
Really? All right. See you later.